Okay guys, this is the second part of the Skoda Fabia underbody renovation project. Carrying on from last week, I've got my first coating to apply. There's obviously lots of ways of doing this and lots of products, and this is only what I'm doing. After stabilising the rust with the preventer, I'm going to apply red oxide metal primer as my first coating. Make sure you stir the paint thoroughly. As you can see, this looks separated. I can feel that the solids have sunk to the bottom of the can, so I'll have to stir this quite well. That looks better. Much better consistency. Put something protective down on your driveway. Put your protective gloves on and simply apply this with a brush. My idea is to apply 2 coats of this red oxide paint and then 2 coats of hammerite, smooth hammerite paint on the axle and suspension parts, and then on the spare wheel well and any of the body parts. And then I'm going to apply an additional final protective layer, which will be a thick rubberized sealer. Now, I really appreciate everybody that supports this channel and watches the videos. So I wanted to give something back to you guys in the form of a free giveaway of this battery analyzer, battery tester that I recently reviewed. So you could check out that video. I've only used it once to review the product, and it's a good little tester. Technically it's used, so there's no guarantee that comes with the product, but you'll find it works fine. So all you've got to do is tell me what bird is making this sound in the background. Leave the answer in the comments below and you want to enter, and I'll put all the names into a hat, which HatBoyHarvey has many of, and I'll draw the winner out on the 28th of May 2023. I'll announce the winner on the video that I bring out on that day. Then all you need to do is send me your address and I'll send you over the prize. Best of luck. When you're applying this paint, make sure you get into all the nooks and crannies. Put plenty on your brush, but don't overdo it. Right, that's one side of the axle, now the spare wheel well. And the other side. Paint around the rear trailing arm bush mounts, in particular the mounting sides that attach to the body, as you don't want those to corrode. And I'll reseal the rust that's breaking through on the sill edge to reseal that. Oh, I've just realised I should have put some rust neutraliser on that first. Oh well, never mind. On the other side, once all that's done, let it dry. Right, now for a second coat. Right, that's all done. Now if I look above the back box, exhaust back box, look at the mounting, that's a bit rusty. So I think I'm going to take that off and redo that. By the looks of it, I will be lucky to get the bolts out. Spray them with penetrating fluid. Oh yes, they're coming off quite easily actually. I've just got to prise the rubber mount off the spigot on the box. Take that into my workshop and clean it up. To get the rubber bushes off, apply some oil at the end or some washing up liquid, then put a screwdriver in to lift over the barb at the end. And prise off the rubber with something. I'm using the other side of a hammer and a screwdriver. I'm sure there's an easier way of getting these off. Right, the bracket's quite rusty on this. I'll have to clean it up with a wire brush. I'll knock all the loose rust off first. Apply the rust inhibitor. Leave that to turn black. Red oxide coating. Smooth hammerite coating. And I think it goes without saying that you need some sort of light when you're doing this. The brighter the better. And you need to move it around while you're painting to get into all the nooks and crannies. And I'm always hopeful, of course, of coming across me Auntie Gertie's secret stash of homemade Himalayan goat biscuits. Right, on to other side. The whole idea is to protect it from any further corrosion and rust damage that could affect the parts. Once these back axles get too bad, such as the spring seats, then the whole thing has to be replaced, and it's quite an involved job with all the ancillary parts. And doing it on your driveway isn't all that easy, especially if you're on your own. So a little bit of hard work and a couple of cans of paint is probably well worth it if you're going to keep the car for a long time. Right, just let everything dry now overnight, and then I'll put a second coat on and let that dry before I finish putting the final protective coat on the wheel well and body parts. But I'm still waiting for that to arrive, so hopefully it'll arrive before the weekend. You might have seen I'm using the Hammerite brush cleaner and thinners there, but you can use a cheaper option of brush cleaner, which works just as well. Anyway, after all that brush rubbing, I'm off in for a cup of tea. There's not like a right good Yorkshire cup of tea. Crawl back underneath the car and apply the second coat. There we are, that's not too bad. I've got to the axle in most places. and along the seam near the rear wheel arch on the sill, where it was just opening up and rusting a bit. Just needs body colour on that later on. Put a second coat on the exhaust bracket. Just got the rubber bush to put on, which can be a bit tough to get on. So I'll just show you a little technique back in the workshop. All you need is a cup of hot water and some washing up liquid. Stick the rubber end in the hot water to soften it. Then put a bit of washing up liquid on the spigot. And you can either push these on by hand, prise them on with a lever if they're underneath the car, or in this case, as I've taken the bracket off, I can put it in the vise. Squeeze it together. Just finish it off. Lovely jubbly. Just do the other side. Clean it up, and there we have it. Ready to go back on the car. I'll probably put it on the exhaust spigot first, before bolting it up to the chassis. But first I'm going to put the final sealing coat on the wheel well, and this is what I'm going to use. This will be like a rubberized waterproof seal that stays sort of pretty firm but slightly flexible. It's basically the stuff that they spray on underneath the body at the manufacturer's factory. Not exactly the same obviously, but similar properties. You can apply this stuff quite thick with a brush, and it's ideal to finish off underbody seams and panels in my case. You can paint over this if you want, but I probably won't do that. But when I put it on the sill edge seam, I will paint over that. I'm going to also do up here at the front of the wheel well, as it gets quite a bit of weather being forward facing. And just along the seam edge at the rear, just to seal it from the elements. Right, I'm going to take the wheel off now, so I can get to the bits that I couldn't do with the wheel on. Just move the ABS cable out of the way and the brake cables a little bit, just so I can get underneath there. As you can see, there's not much corrosion, and it's not vitally important, but it'll just make it look a little bit better. There is corrosion at the top of the spring, which would be a sign of concern, as this is the area that they always break at the ends, and I might as well do it while I'm here. Might save me buying some springs for a while. Let that do its thing. Then put some red oxide on. And some hammerite on. Job done. Right, I've just got to get the exhaust bracket on. What you want to do is get some washing up liquid. Put a little bit on the rubber. And then some on the spigot at the end. Now I've got to get this in here, I've got to line it up, I'm not sure which way around it is. No, that's not the right way. Right, I'll turn it round and I'll fit the rubber on now. Just squeeze and push it on. It should go on quite easily with washing up liquid. Line everything up. Put the bolts back. As they tend to rust and they're difficult to get off when they're too tight. In fact, I might replace these with stainless steel ones. And don't over tighten these. Wobble the exhaust, make sure it's not banging on anything. And the slippy washing up liquid will dry up after a while, so you don't need to worry about that. And here's the result of my work so far. I think I'm quite pleased with that. I've just got to put the rubber grommets back in the wheel well and have a closer look at those brackets on the heat shield. That's nicely protected now. It's difficult to see when it's all black, or difficult to illuminate, should I say. I will paint the bits that I've missed underneath the jack points when I eventually take those out, but I think I'm quite happy with that. Just got to clean up the handbrake cable with all mucky paint that I've left marked on it. Not happy about that. Anyway, that'll do for now. I hope you've enjoyed watching this and maybe given you some inspiration to do your own. It really is worth doing if you're planning on keeping your car for a while. So on that note, I'll bid you farewell and happy motoring. Don't forget to enter the competition. If you've missed that, it's about 1.5 minutes into the video. Leave the answers in the comment section of this video and I'll announce the winner on the video that I bring out on the 28th of May. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.